spaceship Rising has landed on planet Tuesday, and we've got a great show for you today. So glad to have you tuning in, and so glad to have Jessica Burbank back with us. Hello, Jessica.
How does he come up with this stuff?
It's not written for me on the TV. That was
really
just
not.
top of mind. You can see that.
Yeah.
All right, well, why don't you tell us what we're talking about today?
Well, Robby, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says the investigation into Joe and Hunter Biden's alleged foreign business dealings has reached the level of impeachment inquiry. We now know Hunter Biden's former business partner and best friend is set to testify that President Biden spoke in at least 24 phone calls with foreign business associates of Hunter Biden while serving as vice president. This, according to new reporting in the New York Post. Devon Archer, who currently faces charges related to $60 million in bond fraud, will testify to the House Oversight Committee about witnessing Hunter Biden dial his father in over speakerphone with meetings with foreign business partners and prospective investors.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre responded to reporters' questions on the matter yesterday.
Chairman James Comer today says that the Oversight Committee, has evidence that the president in the past communicated directly with foreign business associates of his son Hunter Biden many times. Curious if the White House and the president still stand behind his comment that he's never been involved and has never even spoken to his son about his business.
So I've been asked this question a million times. The answer is not going to change. The answer remains the same. The president was never in business with his son. I just don't have anything else to add.
Well, and as Megyn Kelly is pointing out, this denial that Joe Biden never was in business with Hunter is actually different than the president's previous denials that he never ever spoke business with his son. So, this is quite a news scoop if substantiated that, in fact, Joe Biden was dialed into a call about Hunter Biden's dealings. They might want to, I guess, save the, I don't know if they're going to make the excuse that, Joe Biden doesn't really know what's going on or something. Thought he was talking
An insanity plea from the president.
Sort of, yeah, a no longer with it plea. Because this does, make us very concerned. This has always been the question. Hunter Biden was clearly trying to, I think, convey to his business associates, this foreign business and government interests that he was on their payroll, that he could command his father's attention and support, and that he was valuable because of that. And it was clear, it's pretty clear Hunter Biden was trying to do that. Less clear whether Joe Biden did anything to play into that idea or assumption, whether he was aware of it, etc. So that, if he's joining phone calls, that is different than what Karine Jean-Pierre said. And other people on behalf of Biden has said a million times, that he actually had nothing to do with, they didn't even discuss business, Hunter Biden's business. That would never even came up. That's what he said. I don't know how they can stick to that if this is true.
It's going to be a tough sell, right? Because this is Devon Archer testifying. This is someone who has committed fraud or is facing, some other fraud charges related to $60 million. That's a lot of money. We did have Mikhail Zlochevsky say in the first impeachment inquiry that Biden, as vice president, was never on these phone calls. Mm-hmm. And so Devon Archer is alleging that that was one of two of the foreign associates that was on the phone call. And that when Hunter Biden phoned, he called them by name, Nikolai and Vladim, and said, we're going to talk to your dad at the Four Seasons Hotel in Saudi Arabia. That's a story that doesn't even add up with what Zlochevsky has said went down. So that's going to be a really tough sell, because now it's going to be hearsay and one person's word against the other, right? And you have one person, Zlochevsky, who was on the call, saying that it wasn't with Biden as VP. So that's tough. But what went down does sound like corruption, even if this phone call didn't happen, because 2 months after Biden was no longer vice president, you had Hunter Biden's compensation go from $83,000 a month from Burisma to half of that. So there's some kind of corruption going on. Is the inquiry getting to the territory of they really seem to want to get the Biden family on something? Yeah, and they're grabbing at, witness testimony, which is good. It's good to have witnesses testify, but it doesn't hold up to what happened in prior impeachment inquiries, where someone who allegedly was on the call said that they never spoke to Joe Biden. So it's, I think, going to be a tough sell. And what I would like to see Congress do and McCarthy do is write some legislation. You're the legislature. You're supposed to check the power of the executive branch, impose some checks and balances so corruption like this doesn't happen in the future.
Well, that was not all. Meanwhile, new Business Insider reporting revealed the identities of the people who Hunter Biden sold, his fancy paintings, who he sold those to. So Hunter sold at least $875,000 worth of his artwork to a Democratic donor who Joe Biden subsequently named to a prestigious government commission. So this story came out yesterday. It's very interesting. This person, let me see if I can, Elizabeth Hirsch Naftali, a Los Angeles real estate investor and philanthropist who's active in California Democratic circles and was appointed by Joe Biden to the Commission for the Preservation of America's Heritage Abroad. That was 8 months after purchasing almost $1 million worth of Hunter Biden's art. I don't know. That looks pretty straightforward. Yeah,
a lot of this sounds like corruption that's not new, not unique to the Biden administration,
well, no, fine,
right?
No, but
6 months after President Trump is out of office, you have a $2 billion investment from the Saudis into Jared Kushner's dealings.
Yeah, fine.
So I think it's common, right? I don't think it's unique to the Biden family. What are we going to do about it? Like, what is McCarthy's plan, right? They want to investigate. They want to have the House Oversight Committee hold this hearing, have this testimony become public from Devon Archer. But what's going to happen after this? Like, what protections? Impeachment.
But
then how do we prevent every other president from having dealings with multinational corporations and abusing their power to further the business dealings of their families?
We're just going to impeach every single one of them. I don't know.
Every president.
I mean, we might be heading to a world where every president gets impeached fairly or unfairly due to the just deeply politicized nature of our current system. No, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
What you're saying. There's a lot of complaining from Republicans. There's a lot of thunderous denunciation and not a lot of action, and obviously not enough admitting that however corrupt you think or is showing to be the Biden administration, the Biden family, there was a lot also corrupt about Trump and the Saudis and Kushner, et cetera. Actually, I think some of Trump's hardest core right-wing supporters never even actually liked Jared Kushner very much and thought that his influence on Trump was pernicious and kind of like globalist in focus, if you know what I mean. He was never, and in fact, that was an early frustration with Trump, that he instead of following through on his kind of American first foreign policy commitments, he put Jared Kushner in charge of like everything, and that was not what his base wanted. So anyway, you're right that there's certainly not legislation being enacted to stop this kind of thing.
Right. I think it's a tricky situation where you have Democrats and Republicans constantly in this headspace. And I think it's a tribal human instinct, right? That when our guys are the bad guys doing the bad thing, right? Corruption, multinational corporations are dealing with people that are in the highest office in the United States. And this is the leader of your party. This is your president that you've elected. Hold them accountable. It's so easy for Democrats to say, oh my God, Republicans, like Donald Trump, so corrupt. Jared Kushner got all of this money. But when it's Biden, it's like there can't be any merit. It's definitely a goose chase before we even hear about what evidence there is. And so I think we've got to get out of that headspace and just hold our elected officials accountable. It shouldn't be hard, but I think it's the tribal instinct that gets in people's way.
I wish I could find someone to purchase my artwork, a Robby Soave original, for $875,000. That would be very good for me.
Robbie?
What?
And in our next segment,
don't you
Robbie
see me always doodling here? It's really
Robbie
really
is
moving.
Always doodling. It's true.
Really nice stick figures over here. More Rising next. Stay tuned.